Okay, here we got recording. Hey, let's go. Chopping it up. We got another amazing show with another amazing guest. How do we do it? Just actually reaching out to people. They're fantastic, honestly. Try it
This man
sometimes.
just bigged up himself. How do we do it? The man who sends all the information. That's so good. I like that, Crump. That was good.
I am Crunk Chocolate. I'm here with my show bro, Sharpie Charlie. Happy Monday, brother. How are you feeling?
Man, we just talk every day now. I love it. I talk to you like more than I talk to most people in my life. And it's beautiful, man. I can't be happier hanging out here, getting to meet a new guest, a new friend. So I'm excited to talk some footy tonight.
Yes. New Shady Gang, first time guest, but for me, long time listener. Though one of our the OG, actually this has been a kind of fun link up of guests, really, with like the lit stream, and now it's great with linking up with people that we wanted to work with or we have worked with before, but it's been some time, and you are definitely on this list. Shout out to Diaspora United, shout out to Ace Spirits.
Thank you.
I'm excited to even hear about F1 because honestly, it's so overwhelming. I have no idea even where to start. Like, I just know to pick a person, but I feel like there's only one person to pick. But
That's true.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
All right, I'm already
Good
doing
job.
good.
Good job. There you go.
Oh, but I've been doing all this talking about the person. Shady Gang. Well, shout out. Welcome to Andre Carlisle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me here. This is gonna be fun.
Yes. And welcome, Tarek. Good to see you, my brother. How are you feeling today? Hey. Did I say it right? Is it Andre?
Honestly, there's no French connection, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So you can just say straight up Andre. You don't have to get too French with it. Basically, what happened was my grandfather wanted. He liked the name Andre. I don't know why, and he can't tell me why. He's 94 years old right now. I've asked, and he doesn't have any reason behind it. But he had two girls, and that didn't really work. So my mom was like, "Okay, well." My dad wanted to name me Kevin, and she was like, "Nope, that's not happening." So, so it became Andre, and so it's just like people always like, "Ooh, that's French. Are you French?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not. Don't do that.
Guyanese? Like anything? Like none of that?
Nothing. African American."
Let's go. Just fit here. That's what we do.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man. Tom Bomb, welcome, my brother.
Tom, my guy.
Yes. I think you're muted.
Oh.
Greetings and salutations. Good to see all y'all brothers are here today.
Yes. Always good to see you. We like to start these episodes with something nice and easy and light. What is an overrated and underrated about football? It can be anything as deep or shallow in the sport, culture, fandom, anything.
Wow. Yeah, that's not light.
I mean, you can literally just be like Chance. I wish they tried harder, or people take them too seriously. I mean, beer. I wish I could drink more of it during the match. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
All right. So I was prepared for this question, but like I feel like this is the problem. Like I felt like it was gonna be like a later question, so I came in a little hot. So it's gonna be like a little intense.
That's the perfect amount. That's the perfect time.
Yep.
Start strong.
So I'm gonna say an underrated thing. That's really what I got because I have a lot of feelings on this, and I feel like this is probably for me playing way too much FIFA, EAFC, or whatever. I feel like we don't pay attention to like the net mechanics much. Like you need a tight net. Like I want to see like when you score a banger looks like on a loose net. Nah, like I need to see the ball like hit and be spit out the goal. Like that's how you tell how much velocity was really in a shot. Like I'm really, really about like what happens to the ball after the goal is scored. Because some goals just look better, like hitting it underside of the bar. I need that, right? Like any sort of like those kind of goals, I'm here for. So for me, I feel like net mechanics get lost a lot of, especially in American soccer. We just put the nets up and whatever. But like I need tight nets.
That
Which is
is
a
right
really
up my
stupid thing to
alley.
care about. But
I love it though. I love
that's where
it.
I'm at.
It's perfect. It's a great answer. First time
Yeah.
anybody's ever said that.
Right.
I was trying to get something random, but it's honestly it's how I feel. I need it. I really need it.
I only want you to be honest in yourself while you're here. Everybody always jokingly says this is a safe space, but we mean it. Trust me, I will say more dumb things than most other people will say. Period. So you're doing fine. You're doing great.
I appreciate it. I was trying to think of something overrated as well. And I mean, I really don't have nothing beyond CR7. That's it.
Ooh, good answer. That's
Yeah.
a
I
good
like
answer.
Let's
that.
go deeper there.
I
Let's
like
go
that.
deeper there.
Okay, we can.
So
'Cause I don't like that, man.
as a lover of the game, not like him, like what do you think is the most overrated thing about him? Is it like he just racks up a bunch of meaningless goals? Is it that he's really like not the best forward of all time, but he just happened to like, stat chase? Like what are your feelings?
Yeah, I think it's more stat chasing, and I also think it's in terms of how much he's been pandered to, and pretty much all of his teams, and he hasn't like we've seen it with Portugal, right? And we even saw it with his latter time with Manchester United when he wasn't doing no tracking back, he wasn't trying to be nothing, like he was just like get me the ball, and it was like why you're not that guy anymore, like the game's different, this is not how we play, like we press now, like this is what we do, where have you been? And he just doesn't really adapt. And I think that the packaging of him really gets people more so than the actual talent. Obviously, he was a great goal scorer in his younger years, but I still like players who are a little bit smoother on the ball, a little bit more, I would say, calculated in their movements, things like that. I'm obviously a Messi guy, so like that's my guy. And
I see him.
And I love the fact that like Messi has done nothing but create a lot of distance between them in his in like his latter years, because I'm like that's the way I've always felt, like how I've always measured them is that Messi just does more, even though he just be walking around sometimes, he does more than I think than Ronaldo ever does. Which sorry, CR7. Ronaldo is the Brazilian Ronaldo. That's the only Ronaldo that there is.
He just called that Portuguese man Broso Alex Morgan. I love it.
I'm trying to get me canceled from Oso.
He retired now, so I mean, what?
Hey, listen, Tom said it. I ain't say it.
God's be good. God's be good.
Oh, well, those are very solid because you gave a real nice hot take, and then you gave a very like insightful one. Like that was a bespoke talk about the net mechanics. That was great.
Appreciate it.
Please let us know a little bit more about this is the plug yourselves a little bit more because this is my chance to chat with you for the first time. And Tom Bomb, he might be familiar with you, but this is so this is a good chance to break bread. Tell us a little bit more about like Diaspora United, how that came out, how that came together, why it came together, and we'll get to the other pods right after that as well.
All right. So yeah, with Diaspora United, it's actually just like where most good podcasts start is like in a DM or a group chat. Is kind of where it happens. And so I was kind of the landscape, the media landscape of women's soccer, especially a few years ago when we started this, which is like 2019, I believe is when we started. Maybe posted our first episode in 2020, I think. It was obviously there's a pandemic going on, so that was a problem. But also just looking around at like the media landscape and knowing that the game is getting blacker, and we don't know if media is prepared to talk about it. And we need a space where we can counter some of the dumb shit that we're gonna hear. Like back then, you would hear pace and power all the time. Like they've gotten a little bit better at that these days. But like if that's like the starting point. it's not going to be good if the game continues to get blacker as it has done. And so I was really just looking to fill a space. And I reached out to a few people, not a few, just a couple people, and was like, hey, I got this podcast idea. And one of the people I reached out to was Courtney Stith, who is my podcast co-host and has been ever since. And she was like, yep, I'm in. And I was like, okay, but like, you mean like every single week? Like, we really like this is going to be like, we're going to have to hit it. We're going to have to do it for real. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm in. Like, here's how we do it. And she did the tagline of like centering Black women in the global game. And we got the logo done, put the episodes out. And that was really it. I mean, we did the podcast for about a full year before we actually ever met in person. And that was just kind of wild. So yeah, it was really just understanding where like a gap was in coverage, where women's soccer in this country was heading, and really in the world was heading, and we just didn't trust the people that were out there to talk about it and handle it correctly. So we were like, we'll do it ourselves.
I got a quick follow-up, and I'm gonna take this from Brown Sugar. Like, when did you fall in love with hip hop? When did you fall in love with like women's soccer?
That's a good question, because it was one of those things where I was always aware of it because of the World Cups. So obviously those are the things that are important, and it's not like you get to celebrate those if you're following the men's team all that much. So it's kind of like, all right, this is dope. Why is our women's team so good? And then the question was, what do they do in between the World Cups? They're still only every 4 years. Like, what happens? And so it was really what I would say. I knew like the 99ers were kind of like it, and Brianna Scurry was like, all right, like we blackness on the team, like the hero, the unsung hero. Brandy Chastain has the photo, but we don't get to that point without Brianna Scurry. And so knowing her and her story was great. And then trying to, as the team continued to grow and get better, you have that run and that leads up to the 2015 World Cup. And then obviously the 2019 World Cup is when we started. But when I started kind of paying attention, it was kind of in that build up to the 2015. It was kind of like, all right, these players are extremely dope. And what are they doing? And the NWSL was kind of new at that time. And so I used to watch it. Used to be on Lifetime Network. And so I turned on Lifetime and be like,
go 90 days.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the days. And it was kind of like, all right, this is kind of dope. And it was just one of those things that was just like, I don't think people are quite aware that like this level of soccer is happening on a week by week basis. And they just show up for the World Cup every 4 years, which is dope. Love World Cups. But like, you can watch Tobin Heath like tomorrow if you want to, or next weekend if you want to. And that was kind of my thing. Like, all right, how do we tell more, like get into telling more about that? And I didn't know what I was going to do about it other than watch it. So I didn't really get into media spaces and cover it for years, but it was more just like, I'm going to pay attention to this. I'm going to try and amplify this, at least in my own circles.
Fantastic question. All right. Well, I assume with Hey Spirits, Washington Spirits, that is your area of the team you root for, and that's where that came from. How is there a separation, or maybe does that help you with Diaspora United? Is having Hey Spirits where you can kind of nerd out about your club there, so you don't have the need to just push Spirit propaganda.
Which sometimes I do, and I try to let people know when I'm pushing Spirit propaganda. We have like Spirit and Gotham propaganda on Diaspora United because Courtney's in New York. So I try to be, every now and then we'll start talking about games for the weekend, and like Courtney's been talking about Gotham for 12 minutes, and I'm like, all right, we gotta move on. so we try to keep the propaganda to a low, to a minimum, but fail sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Hey Spirits was kind of the same thing. Just saw that like it needed a dedicated space, like podcast space, of people talking about the team, talking to the athletes, having the athletes on, which the Spirit haven't always been great at, but we're great the past couple of years about having us access to players, being able to do interviews with them. Really only helps like further deepen the connection locally. And so, doing Diaspora United was more of a national, international thing. And I was just like, all right, smaller impact, obviously, because, the entire world's not going to care about the Washington Spirit. But if I can try and help make those connections locally, then let's see where that goes. And so it's just trying to figure that out. And that's been kind of cool. I mean, we've had a lot of people just kind of tell us like, love the pod. Like I feel like I know the players more. I'm connected to the team a bit